In this video, I'm going to show you an overview of the Divi theme. The Divi theme is what controls the look and feel of your website and some of its functionality. It's a little bit different than some of the other WordPress themes that you might be familiar with. So I'm going to go through and show you all the cool special features. But first, let's go and look and find where our theme is. So right now I'm in the dashboard for one of my side projects, Natural Atlanta Mama. And then if I come down here to the left side under Appearances and Themes, right here, this is the one that we're running. Alright, so now I'm going to come down to the Divi settings, which if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see Divi as a new option in your left-hand menu. I'm just going to click on that. Alright, so there's some really cool things about this theme that I really love, which is why I use the Divi theme so often. The first is you have an option to upload a logo. So I have a logo uploaded here that is used in the navigation bar on the website. And then we have a favicon, which is the little icon that pops up here in the tab. So if you've ever gone to a website and it has this little miniature icon here in the tab, that's called a favicon. So you can upload a favicon there or change it if you want something different there. So that's that. The logo is this logo that you see right here. There's a whole bunch of different settings. Most of them are kind of self-explanatory. One of the great things about this theme is it has these little help pop-ups. So if you see something and you're like, I don't know what that means, you can click on that and it'll give you a little bit more information. One of my favorite features of this theme is you have the ability to set a color palette. So all of these colors you see here, you could click and edit. I uploaded all of these or selected all of these colors into the settings. So when I go in to create a page and change the color of text or background or whatever, I can be sure that I'm always selecting brand standard colors rather than having to go and pull up this hex code every time or guess or try and use a color picker and figure out what it is. Or just use random colors. Like this just means that I have a lot of consistency across the entire site without a lot of effort on my part. So if you do not already have your color picker custom colors set up, I highly recommend that you go in and replace the default primary colors with the brand colors for your color picker. You've got a couple of settings for the blog, which side the sidebar is going to be, how to handle WooCommerce, whole bunch of settings for social media, opportunities to upload the URLs for your social media profiles, how many posts to display on all of your various pages, date format, and then down underneath of here, this is really fantastic. This theme has a custom CSS option here. So if you are CSS savvy and want to make a change to your website globally, you have this option here to make CSS changes that work across the entire site. So that's the first tab here under the settings. There's a lot of them. So there's most of these settings you're really not going to touch. Pretty much all of this you can ignore. If you wanted to add ads, here's one way of handling ads. They have built into Divi the ability to add SEO information to your pages using the Divi theme settings that you see here. However, I really think that Yoast SEO does an amazing job at this. So I would just leave all of this turned off and use the Yoast SEO and integration. So if you ever have if you're putting in an extra feature onto your website and they're saying, go copy this code and insert it into the header, this is where you're going to come to do that. You don't need to worry about this. All right, so those are your options, and that is the boring part. Now we're going to get into all the cool stuff and what I really, really love about Divi and why I have chosen this for you to use. So I'm going to go into Pages. So this is what the home page looks like for the Natural Atlanta Mama website. You can see that I've got a bar across the top that has kind of some quick links. We've got a menu with some regular main navigation. Got this cute little baby header with some text. Got some more text underneath kind of telling you about what we do and why you should take our classes. We've got a call to action here with this cool little swoop. We have blog posts with pictures and links to click into the blog, and these are the most recent blog posts. And then at the bottom here, there is a little bit of information about me, a link to go and sign up for cloth diapering classes, and then in this footer, we have I've got links back to my regular website. All right, so let's look and see what this looks like on the back side. All right, page is loaded. So we have this big purple box that says the Divi Builder. So when you create a new page, it's gonna create just a default WordPress page, and you have to enable the Divi Visual Builder. I'll show you that in a second. But if you look at this page, you can see all the different pieces of content that you saw on the home page. So we have this full width header that has that text that says Atlanta cloth diapering classes, and then there's this background image that I've uploaded, and you can see just from scrolling through just this one tab that there's a lot of settings and other things that I could add here, that I could upload a logo, could upload, add buttons, I can add additional just text content, I can control what the text on the buttons is, there's a subtitle section, and then under design, I can change how, like, orientation, whether or not I want it centered or to the left or to the right. I can make this full screen, which means that no matter what size of screen somebody's viewing this on, so if they're on their desktop or on a phone, that this header with the picture with the text inside always fills up the screen, which I think is a cool feature. You can show a button that says to keep scrolling. There's settings for the image on how to handle the image. You can add a background overlay, which means you have like a picture and then like a dark color on top to make your text more readable. Like all of these settings are pretty self-explanatory, but there's a lot here. There's a lot of different things that you can fool around with to get the look that you want and to get all of your content there and have it still look awesome. All right, so the next tab in this module, and there's always these 3 tabs in each one of the modules. This one is probably the one that looks the scariest to you. You probably won't need to deal with any settings here, but you can add custom CSS to just the module itself. So you can see here I've told it that I want it to be a minimum height of 200 pixels, which means that it'll have a minimum height of 200 pixels. And there's lots of other things that I could add little bits of custom CSS to if I wanted to. So if I wanted the button to be purple, even though my buttons aren't normally purple, I can change that here. Now, the one thing on here that you might actually use are these attributes down on the bottom. I use this visibility feature all the time. So sometimes I'll want something to be visible on the desktop, but not on your mobile. It might just not be relevant to somebody who's looking at the page on mobile, or the other way around, might really need it on mobile, but not on the desktop. I can create a module and then say, don't show it on phones, but show it on everything else. Super, super handy feature. All right, so I'm going to close this because I don't want to save it because I don't want to save anything I just did. So what's super cool about this is all like, it's just drag and drop. So if I wanted to add a new section that, I don't know, had a little list of dates. So let's just say underneath of this is a colored section. Let's say I wanted a white section underneath. Because this whole section is colored, I can just go hit, I want to make a new section instead of just adding a row onto the bottom of this. So I'm going to do new standard section, and it gives me a whole bunch of options for rows. Now, keep in mind that you can add more rows that have a different column layout than what you're selecting here. This is just the first row that we're doing. So let's do half and a quarter and a quarter. And then I've got my row, and then I have these sections where these columns where I can insert modules. So in this first module, I'm going to do a text module. I'm going to add a heading one, upcoming events. All right, so now I have a title, and I've just put some filler text here. I'm not sure what I want to say, but I know that I want a little bit of text talking about what kind of events we do and where they're located, and how you can register, that sort of thing. All right, so I'm going to save that. So now I have a text module, and that will take up half of the width on desktop. And then I'm going to insert a new module. And let's see, what do I want to put here? Let's do a blurb. So we're going to make this link to cloth diapering classes. So that's going to be the title. This is kind of like a little bit of subtext. And then we're going to link this to classes. We want it to open in the same window. And then this has an option for an icon. So I'm going to say, yep, let's use an icon. If I don't want to use an icon, I could upload my own custom image. But just to show you, I'm going to use an icon. All right, so we're gonna choose the heart. It's cute. And I'm going to put the icon in a circle, which means that instead of having just a free-floating icon, I'm going to have an icon with a circle around it. So I'm going to make the icon color white, and the circle, we're going to do this in that bright orange. No circle border, want the icon at the top. So that's blurb number 1. So I just made this one that I'm intending to link to the cloth diapering classes. Let's just say, for example, that I'm going to start teaching classes on feeding your baby. So I'm going to duplicate this one because I want all the settings to be exactly the same. I'm just going to change a little bit of content. So I'm going to hit duplicate. So it created a copy, and then it opened up the settings for me. So I like to close the settings, put it where I want it to go, and then go in and change everything. So go in and edit this one. All right, so obviously this little heart icon we want to change because we don't want two icons of the exact same thing. All right, I'm going to select this little star icon. So I've updated my content. I'm going to save this and I'm going to hit preview. Let's go look at how this looks. All right, I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom and look at that. That looks super cute. All right, so upcoming events, I got my little text there. Probably want to go in and center these. I don't like them being to the left. So let me come back over here and make that change. So I'm going to hit these little 3 lines for the module settings. And go to design. Alright, so here we go. So here's the text orientation. It's showing it to the left. I want it to be centered. So I'm going to hit the center button and save, and then I'm going to go and make that same change to this blurb. Alright, and it's that easy. This is why I love this theme so much, is that you can make all of these changes and it doesn't require any code at all. And there's lots of different options here on different kinds of modules that you can add and content that you can add and settings to make all of those modules look exactly how you want them to look. It all just kind of, sometimes it takes a little bit of thinking, but for the most part, building pages is really simple. It doesn't require you to go out and learn all of the things about web development. All right, so there you can see I've got my 2 little things all centered, and you can click on them and they look all cute. All right. So let me show you some of the other modules. I'm just going to hit this button just to show you the modules that are available. So accordion, that's like the little section where maybe you have like a skinny bar, and then when you click on it, it expands and has more text inside of the box when you click on it. Audio, you have a built-in thing where all you have to do is upload the music file, and it's got a player and everything built into the theme. So that's pretty cool. Bar counters, these are like, if you've ever gone to a website and they have statistics of how many people they've helped or how many clients they've served, or how many cups of coffee they go through on a day, or whatever. That's this sort of thing. There's a couple of different counters like this in the theme. So if you like to keep track of numbers on your site and publish numbers, there's a lot of different ways you can do that using this theme. Blog allows you to add blog posts dynamically onto a page. So instead of having to go and update a page every time that you update a new blog post, add a new blog post, you can add a module here that allows you to show your most recent blog post, or your most recent 5 blog posts, or your blog posts that are under a certain category. There's lots of settings within here, but if you want to show blog posts on a page, maybe at the bottom or someplace that feels relevant, this is how you would do that. Blurb is what we just did. I like to use these as kind of directing buckets where I have a lot of different categories of things and different places you can go. So if you were trying to give people different options of like, do you want to hire me? Do you want to learn more about what I do? Or do you want to contact me? You have 3 different buckets. That's what I would use the blurb for. Or if you have resources and you want to direct people to those different resources, you could create a page that's just like 12 blurbs of like, here's my here's my PDF that shows you how to update your website, and here's my PDF that shows you how to review a website, and here's my PDF that shows you how to design a flyer, that you could create a blurb for each one of those things. And then when you click on the button, it either downloads the PDF, or it takes you to a page where you can download the PDF, or it takes you to a form that you have to fill out to get the PDF. Whatever works best for what your sales funnel is in that particular instance. But in general, the blurb is going to be an icon or a picture up top or to the side, and then a title, a little bit of text is what the blurb is. Buttons, exactly what it sounds like. You have options for buttons to add a button module. I like that this is broken out, so it makes it really clear where your buttons are. They don't get embedded in your text content. Call to action, I haven't used this one before, so I'm not going to be able to tell you a whole lot about that at this current moment. Circle counter is just like the bar counter. It's just a different format of that counter. Code is where you can insert a little block of code. You might stumble into this if you're using some sort of service, like a payment service or whatever that you want to integrate into your website. This might be how you do it, or you might do it in what we were talking about before in the integrations settings. It just depends on what they're telling you to do. Comments, contact form. I'm going to tell you, do not use this contact form. It is terrible. It seems really cool, and it's got most of the features that you would need in a form creator, but the problem is that it only emails you. It does not keep a track record of who has filled out this form on your website. So that means that if somebody emails you and the email gets blocked by your spam filter, or gets buried in your email, there's no other place for you to go and look to see if somebody has tried to contact you on your website. That's why I use Ninja Forms almost exclusively for forms, is they keep a log. So if you use Ninja Forms, you can click on a form and say, show me the submissions, and you can see all of the submissions on that form. So even if you miss the email notification that comes through to your email, you're always going to have a record of that submission on your website inside your WordPress. All right, countdown timer. Exactly what it sounds like. If you've got a sale that's coming up in 24 hours, or you have an event that's coming up, you can do a countdown timer to create some urgency for people to take action on. Dividers are those thin little lines that you might see separating things. This is a really great feature. I like it a lot. Where you can it kind of just helps to create some division in your content. So if you've got kind of a long page, I think it helps to divide it up. Email, opt in to email list. This is if there's a option for a portfolio within this theme. So you have your blog posts, but then you can also have portfolio items. So if you're in a creative industry or have clients and want to create client profiles of people you've worked with before, you can create those as individual posts and then create a portfolio. Use the portfolio module to display those portfolio posts the same way that you do with this blog module. All right, gallery, that's a gallery of images. I think you can do it as both a slider or like a grid. And I also think that you can click on it and have it expand into what's called a light box, which is what happens when you click on a picture and it kind of gets bigger and covers up most of the screen, but you can still see some of the content kind of behind it. That's the light box thing. Image, same deal, inserting just one image instead of a whole bunch of images. This creates a link to login. I would not use this. I don't think that you'll have a need for that. You can add maps. So if you wanted to show where your location is on your contact form or contact page, or if you wanted to add a location for an event on your event page, could have a map. This is another counter, the number that you can count up to, and it's kind of contained in a circle. You can create person like profiles of authors and use this person module to display their information. It has like a little picture to one side and then a little bio, and then you can have like email links and social media links for that one person, all contained in the same module. Portfolio, these two are the same, the filter and the portfolio. The only difference is this one you can like select categories and it'll show you only portfolio posts from those categories. Post navigation, so if you created a post and you wanted to add navigation to go back or forward in between posts at the bottom. So like at the bottom of a blog post, if it says like more newer or older, more, that sort of thing. Blog post navigation. Same thing as this post sliders, similar to the portfolio where you can kind of click through all the different posts. Post title, this will show like your post and your featured image and all of your metadata up at the kind of towards the top of the post. Pricing tables, this is really cool. If you've ever gone to a site and they've had kind of like 3 different tables of like, here are your different options and the prices and kind of pick your level. This is a table exactly like that. You can create for yourself. I think it's super sweet. You can just drop in an option to search your site. There's this shop feature is one I would not use. I would use WooCommerce for all of that. Sidebar, you can add in widgets. So if you're familiar with widgets, which that's under the appearance menu within the WordPress admin, you can create a new sidebar in widgets and add widgets to it. So if you have a plugin that's really dependent on widgets to work, this sidebar is how you would add those widgets to a particular page. You would use this sidebar module. And you can put it anywhere. You don't have to just put it in like a quote-unquote sidebar. Slider. So this is, okay, I guess I need to clarify. The gallery is a grid type gallery, and the slider is the one that creates a slider. But this is a multi-image thing. Can create links for people to follow you on social media. So cool. You can add like icons and change the colors of the buttons to match the social media. Tabs. If you've ever gone onto a site that like a store and you can click on like details and specs and reviews and all that stuff, these tabs are exactly like that, where you stay on the same page and you just click on the different tabs, so you can have kind of content stacked on top of each other. Testimonials is a nice little layout for testimonials. Text is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a text block. Toggle is pretty similar to accordion. And video, just like the audio, you can add video content, and just like the image slider, you can have a video slider. So it's a lot of different modules. You can do a lot of different things with that. What I super love about all of these modules is you can add them to a library. So we have all these different modules that make up the content pieces. Then we have these rows and these sections with their own set of settings on with, for background and the size of the column and the columns, backgrounds and all of that stuff. So there's lots of ways to build these layouts. sections and then rows within those sections, and then the modules which contain the actual content itself. So really you just have to poke around. If you create a section, so let's say this section that we've just created, I also want to have it on another page. I can click into the settings for this section and say, add this to my library. So I'm going to call this upcoming events. I'm going to make this a global item, which means that when I update this module on one page, it will update on every single page. Super duper cool. So I've got the template name. I've made this a global item because I only want to have to update it once. Whenever I change it in one place, I want it to change on every other place that it appears on the site. I'm going to click Save and Add to Library. All right, so now it's turned green, and what that means is that this is a global item. So when I change it here, it will change in other places. Now we haven't added this to any other page yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and, all right, I'm going to go on to, we're going to leave this page. I don't actually want to make any changes, so I'm not going to save it. I'm going to go over to another page and add that section that I just created and show you, just kind of show you how that works. So, all right, so as this loads, you'll see that this typical text box that you're probably used to seeing in WordPress, and you're not seeing that big purple box that we saw before. And the reason for that is that all of the pages start out as being a standard WordPress editor, not that big, beautiful drag and drop editor that we were using before. All right, so to use the Divi builder instead of this standard WordPress builder, I'm going to click on this big purple button, and it's going to convert it to the Divi builder. Now, if for some reason I decide this is terrible, I don't want to do this anymore, I can revert it back to the default editor. But that's not what I want to do. I want to use this Divi builder. So I'm going to add that section that we just created. So I'm going to add from library. And I'm going to select the upcoming events. And now if I preview this page, we're going to see that same piece of content that we had created on the home page. We're going to see it here. All right. So not only can you create these sections as library items, but you can create individual modules as library items. So if you use the same little piece of text over and over and over again, you might want to create a library item of that text. So you can create that from save the module to your library, you can save a row to your library, you can save an entire section to your library, and you can save an entire layout. So if I hit Save to Library here, this will save the whole layout of the page. So just to show you, I'm going to load the layout of my blog post. So you have these pre-made layouts that Divi provides, but I don't really like using these because they come with all of their own settings, which probably don't match your brand and what you're doing. So unless you're using one of the Divi layout packs already, I would skip right over this and click on Saved Layouts, and you can see I have two layout templates. So I'm going to click on Blog Post Template. Now when I do this, it is going to wipe all of the content that was there before. So as you can see, I do not have that section anymore that has our little upcoming events. It's gone. And that's because I've loaded a layout and it's just wiped everything that I had there. But you can see the post title and text and some post navigation. And this is just my standard blog layout. So now I can make sure that my blog layout is consistent on every single page without any effort at all. I just load up the layout and get going and edit all of my content. I wanted to show you one last thing. There are two customizers in the Divi theme. So we already went over all the theme options, but there's also a whole bunch of settings related to the theme overall and individual modules that are kind of hidden. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew about these and could locate them in the future. So if you go under Divi and then select Theme Customizer, then you will land on a page like this. And there are all of these settings for menus and widgets and the calendar and a whole bunch more for text and all of those kind of things. So if you're looking to change a setting and you cannot find it, it is probably under this theme customizer. The other place that you might find settings that you need to change is under the module customizer, which is under that same Divi heading on your left-hand menu in the WordPress dashboard. And this is where you can change the global settings for the price table and the blurbs and how the buttons look and anything that you're trying to change and you haven't been able to figure out how to do it on the page. Come and check the customizer first before you have a total freak out, because the setting that you're looking for is probably here. All right, so that is the big overview of the Divi Builder. I hope this is helpful. Really, this is one of those themes where you just have to go in and click around. You're probably not going to break anything, so don't be afraid to go in and mess with the settings. And really just get in and use it. And I think most of Divi is pretty intuitive. The modules kind of have their own little quirky settings, so you just need to pay attention to what's there and kind of think outside of the box sometimes when you're selecting a module. Sometimes when I'm trying to build out a page, I'll add a couple of different modules when I'm trying to figure out which one makes the most sense for what I'm doing. But yeah, so that is Divi.